Good morning, Yasha Allah. This is the famous Sunday morning. Actually, it's more like midday. But you know, my usual greetings is good morning. And this is the 11th or the 1st of November. So good morning again, Yasha Allah, to all of you, to all of us in diaspora. I greet you in the name of our Yah and the name that he gave to be above every name. The name that is above the Shamayim and above the earth and sealed in the blessed Ruach of Abba Yahweh, the name of Mashiach, our mother, our high priest, entered in to his place. And it is by his order that we bring to you this video, this teaching, by the direct order of our high priest, our great high priest, who's over the household of Yah. I believe it's according to the book of Hebrew or Hebrews. But now we're going to go into a teaching that would, I suppose I can use the word, that would buttress our already engaging lot of teachings concerning the Levitical priesthood, or better yet, the fallen Levitical priesthood. Previously and until now, we have been discovering that the priesthood that we know today as the Levitical priesthood, or that we know as having been the Levitical priesthood, was named after the so-called Haitians today, Haiti, and they as being children of the ancient Maccabees, the Maccabean order, or Levites. And through these teachings, the Most High, Yah, by his Ruach, whereunto we are sealed in that coming period ahead of us, we are sealed to the day of redemption. But this priesthood, we have discovered, has been a treacherous priesthood unto the nation of Yasha Allah. And I've shared with you the view that the thing, or maybe I can say the principle issue of why we have been stymied, why we have been reeling to and fro as drunkards. I believe it states in the book of Jeremiah. I believe that's where it's found. But the whole earth, it says, is reels to and fro like a drunkard, and I think it's shaken like a cottage, you know. Well, let's stay on track. We're discussing the matter of the Levites who today are known as the Haitians, principally of the nation or the island of Haiti in the Caribbean. They are the children of those whom we know now as the Maccabees. Very dark-skinned people. So them said what you see shown to you as Maccabeans. Them, them pale-skinned things. No, that's not the Maccabeans. You look at me, you got a representation of what the Maccabees look like, what they look like. And many of them, dark, real dark, black. So we found out from the scriptures and from our teachings here that the Maccabees or the Maccabees are the forerunners of today's Haitians that are principally located, or we could use the word assigned to the island of Haiti. Of course, like the rest of the 12 tribes, they're everywhere. And I first began to put the information together on them when I was able to see photos or videos of them walking about freely in the land of modern day Israel. And it struck me as something out of the ordinary. They were so freely moving about without a care. And I had to wonder, why is it so? Why are they so carefree moving in the land of the enemy? I mean, well, it is the ancient land of our forefathers, but has spewed us out, according to the book of Abaya. The land spewed us out because of our sins and our iniquities. The land spewed us out, and another people have taken it over, and a people that are an avowed enemy to the 12 tribes. And so I wondered when I saw the clips of so-called Haitians moving about so freely in that land. I mean, the Spirit of the Most High actually led me to get an inside glimpse view of their mindset, how freely their mind was in moving about among the people of the Israelis, we call them. It struck me as strange. And so as I continued to study the scriptures on them, knowing that they were held as the priesthood in our minds and according to our teachings, I had to study them. And it has led me through the Roa to these understanding that the Most High has graciously poured out upon me by his Roa to get to find out exactly who the Haitians are and their background, who they really are. You see? And hence, the Ruach has led me to discover that they are, in fact, the children of the ancient Maccabees, Maccabean children. And then going into the story, the subject of the crucifixion of Hamashiach, our Malach. I think by now, all of you who have been watching these These presents are now aware that the Maccabees or the Maccabeans, as much as we honor the day of what is, I think they call it the days of Purim or Hanukkah, something such, that they were the ones urging for and pushing for the crucifixion of a Mashiach and giving over the kingdom that was already under occupation by Esau, Herod, and Pilate, the Maccabeans, priesthood. Eventually, in the trial of the crucifixion of the Mashiach, they handed the kingdom on that silver platter to Esau. And with that, you know, the scriptural prophecy of Jerusalem being plowed like a field and shaken out of the land. And so it's from that juncture with the principally with the crucifixion of the Mashiach and the method, the manner in which it took place, in which it came to be under the envious eyes and thinking, calculations of the Maccabean priesthood that have come down to us as the Haitians, like the Levitical priests. And so we have been tied down 2,000 years in the past to the time of the crucifixion of the Mashiach, when ancient Israel, Yasha'Allah, as we know them, as we know ourselves today, ancient Yasha'Allah, under the direction of Caiaphas, on the English thing it says Caiaphas, the high priest, the Levites, the Levitical high priests, urging on the people, ask for his crucifixion. These were the priests, and their children today are the Haitians. And in the revolution for Haiti's independence, the Haitians, as children of the Levitical priesthood, the Maccabean, struck a second time. They struck in the time of the crucifixion, when they urged the people to say, "We have no king but Caesar." That's when we were returned back. We returned officially under the jurisdiction of Esau. And didn't Titus and Vespasian have a field day when they raked the land of Yasha'Allah clean of its inhabitants, turned back over to the Edomites? And since that day, since that time, Edom has been making havoc of the 12 tribes total by the order of the priesthood. The priesthood that was put in place by Abba Yah, and their children today, so-called Haitians, have taken up, I might use the forbidden word, the mantra of their forefathers, the Maccabees, and has sold out modern Yeshuaites in the Western world, in the revolution for Haiti's independence. The children of the Maccabees honored their forefathers and struck again a second time in that revolution for Haiti's independence. They turned the house of Judah, Yehoiada, turned them back over to the Edomites. Now, you need to see well, before you go too far, let me get our scripture that I really wanted to share with you, as you can get a feel for where we're going. Bear with me, please. I wanted to share with you the scripture in Philippians chapter 4 and verse 10, because all of what we are saying, all of what Abba Yah, by his Ruach, is allowing me to bring to you, is for the promotion of our King, our Malach, that the world had not seen until Abba Yah manifested him in the body he gave to him, that we see in Hebrews chapter 10, that the Most High prepared him a body, that he would come into the earth to do his sacrifice and offer himself as a lamb without spot and without blemish. Abba Yah prepared him a body. This is something that today's modern Israelites have missed. Although it's written in the Word, I am certain that quite a lot of us today, the modern Israelites, or Yasha'Allah, have seen the text, but we still want to skip over it and zero it out. But it's eternal fact that you can't dismiss. Abba Yah prepared him a body to come into the earth and to do his sacrifice. I bless you, Yasha'Allah, for receiving this word. So, again, Philippians 3 and 10, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, being made conformable unto his death. And I want to spend maybe a minute or two on this verse of scripture. It's so powerful. It's so rewarding that the apostle is sharing with us his inner resolve of what he has come to experience in the trials. Remember how on the road to Damascus, Mashiach knocked him down off his transportation, knocked him down, and he got up blinded. Anyway, but he heard the voice that said, Saul, Saul. And he said, who are you? Who are you, master? And the master said, I am Mashiach, whom you are persecuting. It's hard. It's hard for you to kick against the pricks. The pricks can tear your foot right up. You ain't gonna have no foot to kick or nothing else. But Saul got the message. And he became, as we would say, as we would normally say, he became a great apostle, and he's letting you know of his experience, that experience that allowed him, that guided him and directed him in the knowledge of Mashiach to understand the power of his resurrection and to grow in the knowledge and understanding of his suffering, what his suffering meant, why it came to be. He heard about it, and it made him angry, and he didn't want nothing to do with it. He wanted to kill everybody who had the view that Hamashiach was the promised one of Allah Almighty that came to take away the sin of the world. Yeah, he was enraged against that, and so he carried on his tirade, his work of purging in the Yahshua community back in the day until Hamashiach stepped in and let him see the light brighter than the sun that blinded him. And from then he went on Abba's mission to show forth the Mashiach and what it was like to serve him. And in doing so, he learned of, got an intimate view and knowledge of the power of his resurrection, as I was sharing with you some time earlier. And he got the experience of participating by fellowship in the fellowship of the saints and of the believers whom he now had come to recognize that they were indeed followers of the Mashiach. And so in getting to meet them by way of becoming a disciple, you might say, himself, he gets into the fellowship of Hamashiach's suffering, because Hamashiach told him, I'm going to show you how great things you're going to suffer for my name's sake. And so it was. Shaul got to know him and to experience the power of his resurrection, because it was the power that transformed him. And likewise, entered him into the community of faith, whereby he got to experience the fellowship of Mashiach's suffering that raised the community of faith unto Abba Yah for the purpose of getting a personal, individual, and intimate connection and relationship with the Mashiach. Because now, in his experience as an apostle, he himself was being made to conform unto the way and the same manner of dying that the Mashiach had to go through. That the Mashiach, this picture, portrait, if I might, of how to be, how to live and express the way of submission unto the will of Abba Yah, through submission unto the word of his power, the Mashiach. it transformed our elder, the Apostle Shaul, and made his life conform, or his life followed in the path, like the Mashiach himself and the other believers whom Shaul now has come to know as true men and women of the Most High. This is what the verse is saying. He comes to understand by vision, revelation of the Most High, and his living experience. The persecution against the name and the way of life that he had to experience showed him the manner of death. Mashiach died at the hands and decision of the fallen Levitical priesthood. So let's move on. We're talking about, of course, last leg of Esau's power structure. And I'm letting you know unequivocally that the last leg of Esau's power structure is set up as the blood oath covenant recipients, those who are receiving, who have received and still are in hope of receiving the reward of that covenant, the fallen Levitical priesthood, the Haitians of Haiti. Their part of the covenant was to have the honor, the privileged honor of bringing the house of Judah, the house of Yahweh, into subjection under their power as Levitical priests. And this is a covenant that was made between them and the Catholic Church, Esau and Satan. And they gobbled it up. They were all for it. And that is the manner of their way of expressing the agreement of the blood oath covenant. And therefore, as the power structure from the fallen Levitical priesthood, they are now still in pursuit of rulership, the rulership that was handed to them by the signatories of the blood oath covenant, the Haitians, in their, I guess I could use the word glory, by way of endeavoring to bring forward their rulership as that second signatory, Catholic Church, for Esau was the original, and the Haitians took over. And so in our experience as having been the persecutors and the murderers of the Mashiach in the old days, under Herod and Pilate, two Edomites, there's where we were led by the Levites to turn the kingdom over back to Esau. And we received great slaughter in Yasharallah because of it. great slaughter. Then in the time of Herod and Pilate, and now again in the exercise of induction into the blood of the covenant with Esau, Haiti, and the Haitians, Levites, fallen Levites, they pursued and achieved great slaughter. That gave them the house of Judah as a trophy. Now, you have to understand that the house of Judah or Yehoiada, being their trophy, were in the way of receiving from Bereshith or Genesis chapter 15. I think you know the passage, Genesis chapter 15 and 30. Let's get a look at it. Genesis, Bereshith 15, where we have the 400-year prophecy of slavery, enslavement. Genesis 15 and 13. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. And they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I bring ruling upon. and afterward shall they come out with great substance. I want to show you now, explain to you that Levi haven't seen that prophecy like he did when he saw the prophecy in Psalm 110. I think it's verse 7. Let me see it to make sure I got it right. I want you flailing up, trying to get it. Psalm chapter 110. Psalm 110. Psalm chapter 110, let's find it. And verse 4, pardon me. It says, Yahweh, the Most High, hath sworn and will not repent, that thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. So we look at this, and I show you now, according to the Revelation, that the Levites, like their forefathers, the Maccabeans, who saw Psalm 110 and took to the occasion, took the posture of envy. Remember the word envy. Envy against the Mashiach. Like Satan and the demonic host took to envy against the Mashiach in the Shamayim. Same action going on. So the Levites and their forefathers, having envied the Mashiach and made it their purpose to turn him over to Esau, Herod, and Pilate at the crucifixion for his destruction, because they wanted the good things of the priesthood, albeit knowing that the priesthood was only a temporary veil that the nation of Yasharahla had inherited from Abaya, that would show them the picture of our coming king, the hidden Alahayim, the Mashiach, home now, the Levites, today's Haitian Levites, going back to the action of their forefathers, the ancient Levites, Maccabees, they took up the slack. How can I put it? They took up the may I say they took up the tabernacles of Maccabees that was fallen in terms of the Maccabees coming into the reception of the honor of being the ones who killed the Mashiach. Well, I mean, they turned him over to Esau, and Esau did the actual buffeting, slapping him, punching him, whatever, plaiting a crown of thorns and pressing it down on his skull, on his head. Parting his clothes, and getting their chance to spit on him. You could imagine them, those Edomite snuffers, all that tobacco scent and smell on their breath and in their spit. Pow! They're spitting on the Mashiach. The soldiers, pilots, soldiers, spitting on the Mashiach. The blessing and the help of the Levites, the Maccabean priesthood. And today's children of the Maccabees, the Haitians, followed that. I forget the word I want to use now. I use the word blueprint. I wanted to use a more direct and powerful word. It's escaping me right now. But they followed that precedent of their forefathers and giving the Mashiach up for crucifixion. They followed that trend and dealing with their end of the blood of covenant with the Catholic Church and Esau against the house of Yahweh in these parts. And so let me show you now. We're going into Revelation 2 actually, Revelation chapter 2, from verse 18 to 24. I'd like you to read 18 to 24. This is verse 24 of Revelation is talking about the word to the assembly of Thyatira that the Malachim is giving to our forefather Yohanan on the Isle of Patmos. So I'd like you to read it through, but I want to give you verse 24 in this summary. Verse 24 goes, "And to you I say, and to the rest in Thyatira, as many as do not possess this teaching, and who have not known the depths of Satan, as they call them, I am not putting on you another burden, but hold fast," verse 25, "but hold fast what you have until I come." At that time, it was not the time, it was not the period that the matters that I'm sharing with you now would have to come forth. So the Mashiach didn't order these things, these matters to come forth in that period, even though he referenced the people not knowing the depths of Satan. But in our day, the depths of Satan has become a matter that must be gotten into, that must be known, that must be revealed. Hence, the Blessed Ruach is revealing to us, letting us see the depths of Satan in our brothers, the Levitical priesthood, who have taken the blood oath and have sought to govern themselves according to it. And therefore, they're in hot pursuit of receiving the payback that was offered to them in the deal of that blood covenant, that oath, that is to rule over Yasha'Allah in the diaspora from the point or the place of the new world, the entrance, the new world, entrance to the new world, that is in the Bahamas. For all of you who need to know, entrance into the new world is in the Bahamas. Now, so what you have here now, you put what I'm saying concerning the Haitian Maccabean children, Levitical priesthood, that discarded, turned over the priesthood from being under the covenant of Abba Yah. They took on a new covenant. That covenant was to Satan and Esau. And as such, for the last approximately 200 years that we are now coming out of, they were ruling over the house of Yahweh or Judah with rigor and absolute destructive purpose through their witchcraft, sorcery. You know, I mean, in the Bahamas, we can give, I mean, unending supply of experiences with having we call having times of, I'll use the common word, having times of meeting up to satanical demonic spirits that had us frightened, and that many of us became challenged by and possessed with. These were generally under the orders of the fallen Levitical priesthood that were given directions to them. They commanded them through the Egyptian Sephirothal tree, the Kabbalistic 8, and what's the other one? The prime one. I think there's more, but definitely those stars that we warned of in the book of Amos and the book of Acts, stars of Molech and Kiyon, are the 5-pointed pentagram, what we call Masonic stars. These were ancient witchcraft, demonic, satanic ritual leading ornaments, I'll use that word, that they use to enter into the spirit world, the satanical world. And so the Haitians had the Egyptian Sephiroth tree, the Kabbalistic 8 that was used to destroy Benjamin, specifically, Benjamin, the Star of Molech, the pentagram, the 5-point star, seal of Solomon, and of course, the Eastern Star, which is the female version of the pentagram, 5-point star. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I might be. If so, I'll bring it up later. But these symbols, and I don't know if I should say emblems, satanical, all these were power tools of Haiti. Haiti had them all in its grasp as it conducted its 200-year enslavement of the house of Judah and used them to the fullest, to which many of you in the diaspora from North America, South America, Bahamas, and everywhere else, even to Africa and beyond, Yasha Allah was being broken down, broken up, torn apart under the witchcraft of Haiti, fallen Levitical priesthood that took the blood of covenant to reign over the house of Judah, Yehudah, in the enslavement. And so now they were in their rightful place as concerning the blood of the covenant, the last 200 years of the enslavement. And according to Revelation 2:24, that talks about the depths of Satan, we began to see the depths of Satan in our own brothers. Well, Esau gave us his version and his view, and we can see that was extreme Satanism. But Levi took it over, and I'm assuming that Levi took it to a new limit, new heights of darkness and destruction. And so what I want to show you then is, according to the prophecy in Bereshith, Genesis chapter 15, it tells us about the 400 years enslavement. Remember now, the 400 years was split. 200 years directly under Esau, 200 years under Levi. You must not forget that. So this is what we are, dealing with now. This is what our minds, all our thinking faculties in our bodies are responding to the last 200 years of enslavement that was under Levi. Fallen priesthood. And would you know it, after having sold out to the evil power, he has made it his business to ease himself back into the fold of the tribes as though nothing happened. Meanwhile, tearing the tribes up, tearing them up with the voodoo powers. All our brothers and sisters in the North American continent trying to bring forth leadership of the people. Couldn't do it. Couldn't see how to do it right, because the force, the witchcraft, and the evil power that was coming, being directed at the house of Yahweh by Levi, by the Haitians. The force and the creation of destruction in the midst of Judah was such that, it had people stymied, drunk, couldn't stand up properly, couldn't see properly or speak properly to give clarity as was needed to get things right. This was the effect of the blooded covenant that your brother Levi made with Esau in the enslavement. And let me go further now with it. What you had governing the proposition for Levi was the induction by Esau into the quote unquote business side of the enslavement. There was a business side. As concerning Levi itself. Levi was promised by the Catholic Church and the consorts that he must utilize the vow of poverty. That was a thing in the Catholic Church. It makes me laugh so much. He was governed by a law of poverty. But in that vow of poverty, since he had the ruling hand as the enslaver, he would set up the conditions whereby the house of Yahweh, Judah, would pay to him, to Levi, whatever he requested, whatever he demanded from the enslaved, the house of Yahweh. This is what was going on. And the greed of the Levites, absolute greed and avariciousness led them to put their eyes on the Genesis 15 and what is 13 and 14, I believe, the verses that talk about reparations for the house of Yahweh itself. That Levi set his eyes on that as payment that should come to him and not to the general population of the house of Yahweh. And so the direction of Levi's hatred and machinations against the house of Yahweh was to have the let me say the funds, if you will, of reparations come to them as being, we use the English word lords over the house of Yahweh. It should come to the Haitians. That's their greed, stinking, nasty greed and envy against the Most High. They want to enslave the house of Judah to pay them what should be granted unto the nation for the cruel enslavement that we endured. The Haitians wanted that come to them. Hence, they took out, I guess we could call it the Edomite insurance plan to enslave the house of Yehoiada under them. And so this was the issue. Greed from Levi. And they got that greed in them now. Hey, but Esau has tailored the actions by the outlines of the vow of poverty, the vow of poverty that's governing, it's the overview of the operation. And they come in the Bahamas to sell that to us. They want us to live. I can't stop laughing. They want us to live by poverty for Esau. This is the mind of the Haitians towards us, brothers. The Haitians who have taken on an oath to defy the Most High and turn away from the priesthood he gave them. This is what they're after. This was their part of the agreement to enslave the house of Judah. So now, the thought is kind of pushed away from me. I don't know the Most High want me to say it. In any case, we are faced with this issue of Levi having at his disposal, as the priesthood, be it a fallen priesthood, he has the knowledge of a priesthood knowledge that was able to circumnavigate all the tribes. Remember, as the Levites, they didn't have any inheritance in the general audience of the populace, but any matter that needed transacting, and take it to the priest. I want you to see also now that Aaron, their forefather, they fall right into his, I guess, tracks, and do like Aaron did. Remember Aaron making the golden calf for them in defiance of the Torah as given unto them by Moshe? Aaron made everybody sin a great sin. And the Levites stood up to heal the breach. They did something valuable at that time, but their father had set the precedent that they, his children, the Levitical priesthood, would follow as the Maccabeans. I guess they still had their eyes on the gold, the gold they contributed to making the golden calf. I guess they had their eyes on that. They wanted that. So when it was time to deal with the Mashiach, they gave Levites. The Levites gave 30 pieces of silver for the betrayal of the Mashiach. Did you hear me? I said the Levites, priests. And consequentially, their children, the modern day Haitians, took up the prospect of reigning over the house of Yehoiada in the last half of the 400 years enslavement, with their eyes set on Bereshith 15, and I believe 13, that says, and they shall come out great substance. The Levites put their envious, the words is getting away from me, but this was a greedy wish in them that they should receive what the nation should receive in reparations. So they said themselves that through their witchcraft, that they would block it. This is what we have been going through, the Levites, in our midst, in your neighborhood. But God, destructive mindset towards you, towards the Most High, towards the Mashiach, and seeking to wipe you clean from every benefit that should come to you. This is the work of the Levites in our midst that are teaching. They're teaching the scriptures, but they are demonic, satanic. And I have to say it like I say it. Nobody wants to expose them. Nobody wants to make the reference that these people entered a blood oath covenant with Esau that was set up to destroy them, that was set up to take from them reparations, because Levi wanted it all for himself. Greed and glutton, destructive. Come back, slither back into the general audience of the nation as though he had done nothing. And he set up a precedent of rebellion against the Most High and departure from the order that was set for him to fulfill. Come back like he did nothing. He wants to be the priest still and show himself as something else of worth. And he's quite like his father, our uncle, whom we regard, with whom we have regarded in a way of reverence and respect as the priest of the Most High Yah. But the template he set up that his children follow, rebellion against the order. This is why the Most High chose the house of Yahweh to find a priest. He got rid of the Levites, as normally would have been. In a normal way, he would have transitioned or transferred the priesthood to the Mashiach and retire them into the general audience of the nation on a whole. And they agreed. The Levites didn't want that. They want the original order of the priesthood that had everybody coming, resorting unto them. And, bigging them up, showing them to be the powerhouse. Whereas they had deserted the priesthood under Abba Yah, and now they were under satanic control. The Levites, now that the Mashiach has been brought into the high priesthood of the nation of Yasha'Allah, our priesthood that we can resort to and give our confessions to. They're lost. They're bid to block and stop the priesthood of the Mashiach from becoming a reality. That was their quest. Whether you realize it or not, I'm sharing it with you. This is what they were trying to do, block that. And block kingship from happening in the nation of Yasha'Allah. Because they wanted all of that, They wanted kingship, they wanted priesthood, they wanted control of the nation unto themselves. This is how greedy avaricious, and gluttony, Levites are. They would stop at nothing to get the glory for themselves. That was their quest in the ancient Maccabees. That was their quest in the 400 years enslavement, of which they conducted the last half of it. And now that we have been privileged to have Mashiach, Abba's Mashiach, the one altogether lovely, entered into his high priesthood. The Levites now must go toward their third proposition, which is in Thessalonians chapter 2, the priesthood of the anti-Mashiach. So you've been warned. That's what it is. Nobody can create for you another scenario that will give you the understanding that Abba Yah is giving you today. Greed, gluttony, wants the whole of the reparations that is due to the house of Yahweh. Levi wanted for himself. And Esau was, you know Esau. He ain't got no trouble with having some assistance in crucifying Yasha'Allah. Levi was right on hand. And today, still trying to bring it forward. That has been his aim. And now you know. In Revelation chapter 3, in verse 6, Messiah says, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the assemblies." So now, of course, I don't know if I should, as you know, being reconnected to the first one who disobeyed the Most High, our women have constantly and steadily made their way into the rebel clan of obeying the fallen one and uprooting, strongly seeking to uproot the order of relationship between brothers and sisters, men and women. So these things we have to give attention to, Yasha'Allah, if we want to be healed, made whole. And if we desire the headship that the Mashiach has brought for us, has bought for us with his blood, we are commanded and encouraged that if we have an ear, then let us hear what the Mashiach is saying to the assemblies. And with that, I close it up for now, Yasha'Allah. We'll come back again, if need be, and share with you some more from the desk of our high priest, the Mashiach himself. He gave us this word to bring to you, to let you know that Levi is your chief enemy now. That Esau has put the burden of proof upon Levi to contain you, to contain the house of Yahweh and enslavement, and to be paid handsomely for it, albeit according to a vow of poverty that he wanted to bring the house of Judah under. Bless you, Yasha, in the name of the Most High, Yah, and his Mashiach, the word of his power, the rod, the rod of his inheritance, and the power to put in order what he has designed, what he requires. Oh, I put, right before I quit, let me show you, if I remember, that the Levites have made their claim a reality and signing the blood of the covenant and showing their intentions and the way they carry themselves and the way they're operating. If you couldn't see it before, I guess you're able to see it now. But the point is this: the Levites attempted to give away themselves to the foreign power, that is Satan, whereas they were under oath unto the Most High. So guess what? Even though they have made contract with Satan to be his priests and do damage to the order of the Most High, guess what? The strength of the original covenant that they made with the Most High is coming through to grab them and put them through the same manner of treatment that they were trying to escape when they took the blood of the covenant with Esau. They were trying to escape the, I guess I can use the word punishment, but the chastisement of the Most High that was being handed to them. They're trying to get rid of that. But the Most High is bringing it straight to them. The Mashiach is bringing it straight to them. You did what you did to the house of Yahweh, but here's your lot that you was trying to run from. You didn't want to experience chastisement for your rebellion under your father Aaron and the Maccabees. You're trying to get rid of that. But the Mashiach is bringing them straight to it, straight back to it. And they're going to experience it. Like what you and I have experienced now already, what they were putting upon us, the Most High is bringing them back to it. You're going to experience it with all else that got to come to you for your rebellion, for your secretive, disgusting rebellion. You want to destroy the house of the Mashiach and call it a good time. No, it will bring you back to what disobedience to the covenant requires. He's going to let you experience it in living colors. Now, because Yasha Allah has to receive what the Father said. After 400 years, we'll bring them to the right ruling to know that they have contested the one altogether lovely against whom no weapons formed may stand or prosper. Bless you, Yasha Allah. In the name of our priest, our high priest, our mother, the one altogether lovely, in the Most High Yah, and in the blessed Ruah. Peace, shalom to you, Yasha Allah.